A census is the term given to an attempt to collect information on every single member of a population. The census will provide complete information, but depending on the population, performing that census could be easy, difficult, or virtually impossible. If a census is not possible, then a sample would be used as the next best thing. For each scenario below, say whether you believe gathering the desired data by performing a census would be reasonably easy, difficult, or would it be virtually impossible? I'll give you a moment to try them for yourself, and then I'll give my answers. Question A says, recording the heights of all visitors to the Darien Lake Amusement Park in New York State in 2017. Would this be easy, difficult, or virtually impossible to perform a census on? Note that Darien Lake Amusement Park gets an estimated 1.5 million visitors per year. Alright, so one of the things that we would look for here is the size of the population. If a population is extremely large, then we have to consider it to be unlikely that data could be gathered on all those members accurately. And so this one is actually going to be considered virtually impossible. Gathering data on all the visitors would just not be something that the amusement park would want to do. It would waste all their time and resources to even perform a census on that number of people. So we're going to say virtually impossible for this. How about question B? Researchers are interested in discovering planets in the observable universe that would be in a habitable zone around a star. It says 12 such potentially life-sustaining planets have been discovered so far. That number is actually up to around 55 as of earlier this year, and it's just going up more and more as time goes on. Let's say a particular researcher wants to record the number of planets observing every star in the observable universe, so they want to do a census. But keep in mind, there are an estimated 10 to the 24 stars in our observable universe. It's estimated there are more stars in the universe than grains of sand on all beaches of Earth. So can researchers document every planet in this universe? No, they can't. So this is once again going to be virtually impossible because of the sheer numbers of the population. How about this one? A high school teacher is interested in knowing if 24 students in the class know the answer to a question. So a quiz is conducted. Not all the students take the quiz, though, because only 21 showed up on that particular day when the quiz was administered. Is this easy, difficult, or virtually impossible to gather the desired information? Well, in this case, I'm going to say it's fairly easy. The reason why is, even if a couple students missed a particular day, then you could just have them come in another day and then answer that question, and you really can figure out, what they all know when it comes to that question. So we'd be performing a census in that case. A U.S. census is performed every 10 years to count all the living people in America, as well as get demographic information about race, gender, etc. As of the time of this question, 2017, there were an estimated 323 million people in the U.S. So is the U.S. Census easy, difficult, or virtually impossible to perform? Well, we can actually take a look at the census form from 2010 here. I chose 2010 because that one was actually just a little bit more concise. It fit on one page easily. The questions that were asked in 2020 were similar. So let's take a look at it. It says at the top, the census must count every living person in the United States on April 1st, 2010. So that's actually a misleading statement. That's the goal, is to count every person living in the U.S. On that date. However, this is not possible. There are way, way too many people to get an accurate count. Think about how many missing persons there are, how many people died that day, were born that day, people that just can't be contacted, people that might be counted twice accidentally, people where they're not sure of their status of whether they should be counted or not. The census is virtually impossible to perform, but we try to perform it anyway by law. Let's look at some of the items here and see why it's so difficult to perform. You should count all people, including babies, who live and sleep at your location most of the time. And that's a judgment call, whether you would count them or not. And somebody else might also count them too. Here it says, don't count anyone living away at either college or the armed forces. Do not count anyone in a nursing home, jail, prison, detention facility on this particular day. Well, what if they got released that day? Would you count them or not? Tough question. Leave these people off your form, even if they will return to live here after they leave college, the nursing home, military jail, etc. Otherwise, they might be counted twice, and mistakes are virtually certain to happen. The census must also include people without a permanent place to stay. So, if someone has no permanent place to stay and is staying here on the date of the census, then count them. Otherwise, they might be missed in the census. And then people give their count and go on to give some demographic information. But my point in showing this is that the census is actually virtually impossible to perform, because what we're looking for is perfect accuracy, and we can't get that.